Welcome back, nerds. For this project, I am building a display for this creepy ass thing. And this project is brought to you by Woodworkers Guild of America. So this thing, this is not locked down. So this thing, it's what's known as a devilfish. It's an old-fashioned sideshow gaff, and I'm pretty sure it's cursed. It's the kind of thing you might have found in decades past in a small tent at a Carnival midway. I found this one in the back of a dusty junk shop in a small Texas town of all places. And I think it's about time I build an appropriate exhibition cabinet for it. You know, nice wood, details, some proper woodworking. And I'd like to have some lighting inside the cabinet, but I'm not sure if I want to light it just from the bottom or the bottom and the top. So I threw together this quick prototype to see what it would actually look like. And I don't know how old this thing is, but it's kind of delicate, so I've got to be really careful with this. Okay, that's probably pretty good. I'm just going to use a couple of my studio lights here to test it. Okay, so my first inclination was just to have an uplight, like holding a flashlight under your chin. And that's, I don't think that's going to be bright enough. Maybe if I tilt him forward. Yeah, no, that's not enough. Okay, so with the top light, yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, and just for the sake of being thorough, just a top light. Yeah, that would actually work. That would work if I had to go with that, but I think both lights is better. And yeah, I think that's plenty creepy. All right, so I got all of 8 seconds use out of this prototype, and I was already pretty sure this was the way to go, but now I can move forward confident, knowing that I am designing in the right direction. I've already got a design worked up here in Fusion, and it basically consists of 3 parts. There's the base, the middle part, which I'm just calling the cabinet, and the top. I'm going to be starting with the cabinet because I think this has the potential for me to make the most mistakes. Although it basically just consists of 4 frames with a slot down the middle to hold the glass. To get the glass in and out of the frames, I need the slot on the top to go all the way through. I could do this on the router table, but I feel much safer letting the robot handle this. The 4 frames are going to be connected together at the corners with these 4 posts. And I was just going to do it all with glue and pin nails, but I've decided I want the whole thing to have more strength. So I'm going with tongue and groove. So I ordered myself this very frightening looking set of router bits. David Picciuto, look away. Of course, I could cut all of this just on the table saw, but new toys. Oh, that is nice. Yeah, that fits perfectly. Okay, yeah, I'm glad I picked these up. That made that so much easier. The set is from Freud. This is not sponsored, but I do link to the tools I use down in the video description. I recommend this. And it's adjustable, so you can make your tongue any size that you desire. Now, people talk a lot about order of operations when it comes to machining metal parts, but it can be just as important with woodworking. After all, woodworking is just tree machining. So I keep having to think through the order I do these things in. For example, I put these frames together first. That way, when I run this groove, it'll go through both of these pieces. That way, when I glue the tongue in there, it'll act as kind of a spline and strengthen this corner. Now I'm going to go ahead and run the rest of these grooves off camera and we can start to assemble. I've left a nice offset here in front just as a nice little detail. And I added a cove to these corners, which I'm going to carry through the rest of the design. All right, that's the front and the back. I'll let these set up, and then I'll come back and connect them with the sides. Now I got to start processing the rest of the wood. These pieces form the basis for the base and for the top. I didn't like how I had the top design before, so I redid it. It's more a mirror of the bottom now, just a little more shallow. I've got to glue these trim pieces onto each of these first before I cut them. These chalk lines, by the way, this is about where I plan to cut these down, so I want to make sure I don't get any pin nails in those areas. If you're interested in making projects like this yourself, you do not have to have all of the tools that I've been using. I started out making stuff like this with not much more than a small contractor saw. Do not be intimidated by what you see YouTubers making. You just got to get started. And a good place to do that is Woodworkers Guild of America, where new members right now can get a year's membership for just $1.49. That's a full year for $1.49. Whether you're a beginner wanting to learn the basics or an experienced craftsman looking for new techniques, Woodworkers Guild is your online resource for woodworking instructions, ideas, and information. You'll learn from seasoned creators teaching all about hand tools, power tools, joinery, finishing, cabinetry, wood turning. I've been using my router table for a lot of the steps in this project. It's one of my favorite tools, and Woodworkers Guild has videos on that too, from setup to advanced joinery. Plus, you'll get access to Q&As, live streams, and downloadable plans. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description get a full year of premium membership to Woodworkers Guild of America for just $1.49. That link is right down there. Wow, okay. Yeah, I could not have hoped for a better result. Now, talking about order of operations again, I need to cut a rabbet along the bottom of these as an inset for a cover for both the top and the bottom. And I could have done that when I added this trim on here and just offset it, but I wanted to make sure that these pieces set perfectly flat. I didn't want them to accidentally tilt while I was cutting these miters. So I waited till now to do that. That is satisfying, like picking a scab. Oh, bastard. All right, I screwed up. I was just about to assemble all four frames together, and I realized I completely forgot I was supposed to run a channel through this corner piece all the way down. That's how my wiring gets up to the top light, and I totally forgot to do it. But I think I can salvage this. I think I can still do this on the table saw. Yeah, okay. The wires fit down in here like this. And the side frame goes on like that. Totally hidden. I gotta make sure I don't get glue down in there. Whoa, what did I do? Oh no. I must have slipped when I drove that pin nail in. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna have to carefully pull this apart. I had to clip that pen nail now. I've got to drive the rest of it in with a nail set so it's not sticking in my way without breaking the rest of this. Still have part of this nail sticking out. I can't close this gap with it in the way. Well, the glue's already dried in this other joint without it being clamped together. So I've got to pull this apart and start again. Ah. Ah. Okay, this is frustrating. This joint is loose also. I'm gonna have to pull this apart and re-glue. I wasn't fast enough, and the glue went ahead and dried without this joint together. So, gotta start again. It's going so well. Okay, I was finally able to get them together. I was able to grind down the pin nails with a rotary tool. And then start again. The miters did not go together as cleanly as it looked like they were going to. That miter sled it's pretty accurate, but when you're trying to cut a miter that's vertical like this, it gets tricky. However, with some patience, some fidgeting, and some force, I was able to finally get these almost exactly right. They're pretty square. I've got a little tiny gap here I need to take care of, but I'm not going to go into all the little things I had to do here. If I covered everything I did in these projects, the videos would be 2 hours long. However, if you like the minutia, I go into more detail. I get more into the weeds discussing these projects, show some behind the scenes stuff. I do that over on Patreon. If you're interested in that sort of thing, there's a link below. I was also able to assemble this piece. I don't know if that makes it in the shot. Yeah. And this came out a lot better than I expected. This is close to one of the more accurate things I think I've ever made. It went together exactly like I wanted. Again, it's not absolutely perfect. One of the things woodworkers don't always tell you is that you're not going to avoid all the mistakes. Experience means you will make fewer mistakes, but it also means that you just learn better how to hide them. Now, I've got a little more woodworking left on this. This goes on the bottom. This is going to go here, and then this piece is going to go up top. So what I need is a surface here that is going to allow this to attach, and it's also going to be the frame for the acrylic for the light. And that is just going to consist of about a 1-inch wide ledge with a lip projecting up in the middle over which the cabinet is going to slip. And I've already glued up some stock to cut this from, and that's going to fit right down in here and sit right on this little ledge that I've already cut for myself. This is just going to allow me to get my depth correct when I glue these in. And so that all of these fit nice and snug and meet up correctly in the corners, I'm going to cut these one at a time and custom fit them individually. Also, I can't screw this up because I made only as much stock as I needed and no extra. Is it poor planning or is it masochism? That goes in there, just like that. Now I just got to do that 7 more times. Now, I've decided that all 3 pieces, the cabinet, the base, and the top, I'm going to fasten all of those together with machine screws. So I've set up the old Shopsmith here as a boring machine so I can run some holes in the top and bottom of the cabinet to insert these insert threads. And after assembling the light panel frames and gluing those in place, I drilled corresponding holes to match up with the threaded inserts. Now, I did goof here a little bit. This cabinet is supposed to slip snugly over this lip, but as you can see, a 1/16 of an inch here, a 1/16 of an inch there, 1/16 of an inch somewhere else, because this is 3/16 of an inch off. But it doesn't really affect anything, and the lip should prevent light from leaking around the outside edge of the cabinet, so it still serves a purpose. I don't know. I'm going to have to figure it out in the postmortem. In the meantime, I've got to figure out a way to suspend the devilfish in the center of the cabinet. What I'm using here is silver solder paste on some of the brass tubing left over from my eternal vacuum tube project. I think I may have purchased an old tube, because I used this stuff on a project many years ago, and it worked a lot better than this. Let's start again. In the metalsmithing circles, that was what is known as toasted ass. All right, we're going to try again just with regular solder. Whoa, that was neat. A little Stirling engine there. That looks much better. Good day, and welcome back. Like I said, I don't know how old my devilfish is, but they date back to the 1500s when they were sold to gullible sailors and tourists as proof of sea monsters. It's also referred to as a Jenny Hanover. It's a bit of a mystery why it's referred to as a Jenny Hanover, although some people think it's a bastardization of a French phrase that means youth of Antwerp, which totally clears that up. There's sort of a more common version of the Fiji mermaid originated by P.T. Barnum, which was made by sewing the back half of a fish to the top half of a monkey. And if you have a hard time believing that anybody would think these things are real, consider the jackalope, which a lot of people today think is real. And just like in the 1500s, they are sold to gullible tourists in any roadside gift shop across the southwestern United States. Now, let's finish this up. There's still a couple of details I think I'd like to work out, and I think I want to try etching the glass, maybe with some kind of Sideshow lettering. When I do, I will probably show that over on Patreon and Instagram. Those links are below, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for attending the Freak Show. Made by sewing together the back half of a fish with the front half of a monkey. The top half, damn it. It's the top half of a monkey. Front half, that'd be weird. That actually would look kind of cool though. Just like sliced this way and then sewn on. I gotta get into taxidermy.